Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nicole Veggiotti. I'm the IHE Connectathon manager at IHE Catalyst. I'm very happy to welcome you in this webinar titled From Vienna to Brussels, a sneak peek at the 2026 IHE-Europe Connectathon. So let's have a look on the guidelines of the webinar. Please keep your microphone muted. If you have questions during the session, please use the chat box, and then we will address the question in the second part of the webinar. Slides will be available on the IHE-Europe Connectathon 2026 webpage, and I think that Sofia, my colleague, will put the link in the chat. And after the webinar, you can find the recording in the IHE-Europe YouTube channel. Let's have a look on the agenda. We will have the first session called From Vienna to Brussels, the 2026 IHE-Europe Connectathon. Claudio Saccavini, that is the managing director at IHE Catalyst, will introduce a bit of the insights of this new Connectathon. Then we will have Sofia Franconi, that is the interoperability lead at IHE-Europe, presenting the experience days. I will present a bit our idea for the Plagathon next year. Then Anne-Gaëlle Bergé, that is the technical IHE Connectathon manager at Kereval, will present the new testing opportunities, expanding innovation and collaboration. And then last but not least, Jürgen Brandstätter, that is the global standard director at IHE Catalyst, will present a very hot topic of these years, the EHDS in focus, shaping the future of the European health data space. So next slide is yours, Claudio. The floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Nicole. I want to... Oh, no. I tried to... oh, no. Oh.
What's happening?
Oh, no. Okay. Now it's... okay. Good morning to everybody. It's a very pleasure to introduce this webinar about the next Connectathon. Last year in Vienna, this year in Vienna, in June, it seems last year, but it's only June 25, we have a very exciting Connectathon in Vienna, in which we have starting not only to have the Connectathon, but to more going deep about the Connectathon week, especially with the Experience Day after Sofia will talking about this point, and also the Plagathon, and Nicole will introduce what are the plans for the next Plagathons in Brussels. But it's important to underline 2 points. First of all, we move our timeline from regular June, May to March, April, March this year. Why we have moved this? For one reason, to sync all the timeline at global level of the Connectathon. And so at global level, there are 3 Connectathon. One is in Japan in October. The other one is in fall, North America. And in Europe, we move for the next years, the Connectathon in spring. We're coming back. We are usually to have the Connectathon in March and April, and we come back. It's also to remember that this is the 25th anniversary of the Connectathon. So it's important to underline 2 points. We move to March in order to have a better sync with the other Connectathons, but to have also a better sync with the IMSS interoperability showcase. So if you're a company that are you planning to participate to the next IMSS interoperability showcase in Europe, in Copenhagen, in May, if I remember correct, there will be the possibility to join to bridge the 2 events, and we announce in which way, in order to have the capability to test the use case, the test use case that will be demonstrated in Copenhagen. So a better sync with another important European event like IMSS, and also in March, because it's important that for the next 3 years, the Connectathon will be in March, and this is because it's synced in such a way to EHDS milestones. So you know that this year in April, end of April, XT-EHR will end, and so there will be an event in Cyprus, I believe, but probably Jürgen could be more in deep than me. And so in March, we have this Connectathon. And the claim of this Connectathon is European Health Data Space, where we will have European Health Data Space in some profiles, I'm talking later about this point, but also in the Plagathon and in the other events. So this is, in 24, we have celebrated the 25th anniversary of providing at global scale the testing. This year, in 26, IHE-Europe will celebrate the 25th edition of the IHE-Europe Connectathon. Next slide, please, Nicole. So this is an history. Personally, I am starting in 2001. It was my first Connectathon, and I see a lot of Connectathon, a very long trip, coming from a small room with not more than 20 people to having 100 systems in the year before the COVID. After the COVID, we will see a decrease of the registration of the Connectathon, and now we are around 60, 70 systems. This is a very good number to test in a very suitable and very careful way the system that will be registered to the Connectathon. One point I want to underline, that is, of course, the word certification. Why? Because we introduced 3 years ago the concept of IHE Connectathon Seal. The IHE Connectathon Seal is a digital badge that is published under the overseas of IHE International that allows you, as a vendor, to find this digital badge that certifies your attendance to one Connectathon, testing a profile and an actor. It's very important also for the users, because the user could find in the result matrix and in the Connectathon Seal repository all the information about the attendance of the different vendors during the Connectathon. It is very important because from the first year, we have discovered that a lot of call for tenders have a condition to participate to the tender, or an adding evaluation for the evaluation of the tender, the Connectathon Seal. So it's very important, and this is a very important milestone in the certification around the Connectathon. Next, please. Oh, what is the Connectathon? Probably a lot of you are familiar with the Connectathon, and I don't want to enter in details, but it's important one point. Network. Sharing is insight with expert and gain knowledge. This is for me the three keywords about the Connectathon. We have an example during the COVID outbreak in 2020. We have had a completely online Connectathon, and it was a very unsuccessful Connectathon, because Connectathon is not only an online testing, is not only testing against a simulator, is not testing against a validator. Connectathon means spend 1 week in a room with others, companies, other experts, sharing your experience, create a good network, and of course, having the opportunity to have also a very interesting learning during this week. This year, as I said at the beginning, the claim is EHDS. And so we will offer a lot of good opportunity to the Connectathon floor participants in the early morning events about EHDS, but also to having a very interesting event during the Connectathon week. Next, please. This is the number in Vienna. 48 vendors, 52 systems tested, around 185 participants in the floor, 43 monitors, and 3 technical TPM, technical manager. It's very important because during this week, we have this number, but if you consider all the participants that have passed through the Connectathon room, we have about 700 people that will attend in the Connectathon week. It's very important because it's a very good opportunity for your company to have visibility on the Connectathon floor with a lot of people that participate to the VIP tours or to the special VIP tours. Last year, we have the commissioners of the European Commission, the person of DG Santé, the key person of DG Santé, the key person of different European projects and experts on the floor. So this is a very good opportunity also for the company to having the right visibility during this week. I have to say that the Connectathon week is the only event that during 1 week with the topic of interoperability with a particular target of participant. Next, please. We move, as I said, from June to March. Next Connectathon will start on Monday, 23rd of March to Friday, 27th. In Brussels, why in Brussels? Because it's clear. We're talking, the claim is EHDS. And so if you want to talking about EHDS, you must be in Brussels. In fact, we have a very strong collaboration with the DG Santé and with the European Commission to organize a lot of joint meetings, to sharing our experience and to discuss about the new trends and future that the European Commission and the member states will start in the next 3 years. It's important that all the different stakeholders around EHDS looking at this week in Brussels to having an idea of what is the feeling of the market, what is the feeling of the vendor about EHDS. This is very important because probably a lot of you believe that EHDS is not a topic of the market, but it's only a topic of member states. The EHDS is like EPSOS 3.0, 3.0, of course. But in reality, EPSOS was a typical European project with a very few impact in real-world scenario, and especially impacts only on the national contact points. EHDS is completely different. EHDS will impact about the market. And so it's important that the market start to send messages to the Commission and to the stakeholders of what are the position, what are the ideas of the market about interoperability, and of course, in which way interoperability will serve and helps the adoption of EHDS. The venue will be very nice, will be the EGG, that is a venue, a conference venue, very close to Gare du Midi. Gare du Midi in Brussels is one of the bigger stations for metros and also for the shuttles, the train shuttles from Zentrum Airport to the center of the town. This year, we will have improved our capacity to reserve hotels, and probably someone speak later about this point. And we have a sort of private booking system to reserve the hotels. Next slide, please. This is the first draft of the program in the Connectathon weeks. You see the Connectathon testing from Monday to Friday. Then there will be different other events, Plagathon, Probably this is the template of the last Connectathon in Vienna, and we will use as an idea in which we will develop the next program. The Experience Day, the Plagathon, and other local events and other important parallel events. Last year, a masterclass of Capacity HD masterclass was very successful. This includes some events from Monday to Friday. Next slide, Nicole, please.
I think the next slide is Sofia's one.
Yeah, in fact. And so I leave the floor to Sofia, but I use this picture to starting from last Experience Day and the Connectathon week in Vienna. You see here Fulvia, that is one of the director of DG Santé, that was speaker during the Experience Day. This year, the relationship will be more and more close with the Commission, and we hope to organize some exciting other events during the week with the Commission and all the people involved in Brussels about the EHDS. This is very important, and I will hope to see a lot of you to the next Connectathon in Brussels, because I believe that Brussels is the capital of Europe. And as you see in our history, we're moving from local Connectathons. I remember the Connectathon that I have organized in 2017 in Venice. 80% of the participants are from Italy, and only 20% are from other countries of Europe. If we will see what has happened in Trieste in 24 and in Vienna in 25, we see that we switch completely. 70% coming from country different from the host of the Connectathon, and only 30% is from the local country. What means that IHE-Europe Connectathon today is a real European event. It's not an Austrian like this or Belgian event. And so it's important to will organize the next Connectathon in Brussels, because Brussels is the capital of the European Union, and it's important that the new project, European Health Data Space, is clear. We change completely the market of interoperability. If you have some question, we can answer later, but Sofia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Claudio. I will just say a few words about the Experience Days. So that's a 1.5-day conference that we have every year at the same time of the Connectathon. It's used to talk about the most pressing topic in digital health. So this year, we had more than 200 participants with representatives for more than 60 organizations, with a lot of speakers. And we see that we have more or less 1/3 of people that come from a different kind of organizations. So we have national and regional authorities, advisors and consultants, and also some vendors. The ones that are not testing are also coming attend a bit the Experience Days. So this year we are moving a bit the schedule. It will be for the Wednesday and the Thursday. So Wednesday the whole day, and Thursday 26th just the morning. This edition will be focused on how to reach the EHDS, and we will be opening the registration end of October or beginning of November, so stay tuned. And I will pass the floor to Nicole to speak about the Plagathon.
Thank you, Sofia. Okay, so with this slide, I want to explain a bit what is a Plagathon, and then our idea for the roadmap in preparation for next year. So a Plagathon is smaller and more agile than an IHE Connectathon, and has a particular focus on prototypes and emerging standards. It is designed properly for early stage testing and learning, And this offers to participants a safe environment to identify plus resolve the issue without the pressure of the official certification. But at the same time, it helps to prepare the system, your system, to the formal IHE Connectathon, and is made from an educational session plus hands-on testing. And we want to present the preliminary ideas that we have outlined for the next IHE-Europe Connectathon 2026 in Brussels, the 7th of October. And we will share also together a questionnaire on LinkedIn and on a newsletter to collect your feedback about our ideas. So please stay tuned also for the Plagathon. And then I will pass the floor to Anne-Gaëlle that will explain us the new testing for the next year.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. So this part will be a bit more technical. So the IHE Connectathon is really the place where you will test the IHE profiles within your products or systems or prototype. There's no so the idea is really to support you in testing the interoperability. A frequent question we have every year is this profile going to be tested? The answer is maybe, because we are doing peer-to-peer testing. So for testing to be tested, for a profile to be testable, we need more than one partner. So we need at least all the actors of the profiles to be represented at the Connectathon, so you can exchange information with peers. However, we've done analysis in the last years that gave us an idea of what are the recurring profiles that have been tested every year since 2017. Some of them are newer, so obviously they have not been testing since so long, but they have been testing every time we have offered them at the Connectathon. So you have already here a short list of the profiles that are 95% likely to be tested at the event. So if you are still wondering if this profile in your product is going to be tested, you can first have a look at this insights. And for the others, for the profile, we invite you to sign up when the registration will open, to sign up for all the profiles you want to test at the Connectathon, and we'll do our best to find partners to allow you to test. For this year's, we have some new profiles. So, next slide, please. So we have brand new profiles in the IHE radiology domain for AI results assessments for imaging, reject analysis and monitoring, and cross-community web access to DICOM objects. So those three profiles are brand new. They have been released in trial implementation over the summer, I think. And you are very welcome to implement them and to test them at the Connectathon in March. Yeah, you can, and still you can sign up for the profile in October, November. And then if it appears that by March you figure out that you are not ready, we can still drop it from your registration. Don't worry, but at least put the maximum of profiles in your registration so we know that you are interested in and we can find partners for you. In the IT infrastructure domain, we have 4 Firebase profiles that are quite new. They haven't been tested yet. So they are for finance and insurance service, scheduling, basic audit log patterns, and DSub for mobile. So they are all Firebase, and they can be tested for the first time this year. And in the pathology domain, we have digital pathology workflow, image acquisition. So we had the pleasure to do some testing back in June, and it was successful for the participants. So we really welcome you to test this profile this year again. And we have specimen event tracking workflow, which is more dedicated to laboratory. So when time comes to select your profile, pick them, not them all, but all the ones that you are interested in, to let us know what's your wishes. For sure, if you have some doubt, you can get in touch with me, and the domain technical project manager can support you in identifying which IHE profiles to select. Because sometimes you implement some features, but you don't know exactly to which profile it refers to. So it could be a way to do it. So I'm very looking forward to supporting you in testing in Brussels. I think Jürgen is the next one.
Yes, you're correct. Please, Jürgen.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Sorry, Jürgen. I want only to underline, if you come back, because Alessandro is here, and we are very focused in PAL profiles. So Alessandro, that is Sulis, that is the co-chair of the PALM domain, one of the two co-chairs, could help us to starting with the testing of digital pathology workflow image acquisition profile. So I ask if there are someone that could be interested in this field to move, because we need to find the right numbers of participants. But I believe that at this Connectathon is my personal goal to test the new PALM profile. So please register to the PALM profiles. Please, Jürgen.
Warm welcome also from my side. Just as the European health data space is, of course, a hot topic in Europe, naturally, and Claudio has already outlined a lot about it. We had some very interesting topics around the European health data space already this year in Vienna. So, and in both aspects, so in the primary use part of the EHDS, but also for the first time on the secondary use part of the regulation. So, for example, we had EU projects which are currently working on some aspects of implementing the European health data space. So, for example, I have had my hands for some patient-mediated information sharing by the patient's phone, basically, I2X and XShare, also dealing with topics like this. We had those projects hosted for some meetings, bloggathons, workshops at the event in Vienna, and we actually plan to do the same for next year in Brussels. So it's not clear, because the projects need to develop that. It's not clear yet where we land, but if it comes to us, we would like to arrange something where not only the project participants can meet and do some things, but also that it's open for everyone, or at least that there are some possibilities for everyone to get in contact with these projects, because that was the case in Vienna, and that was a huge opportunity for everyone to learn more and to understand what's going on actually in these EU projects, which will be delivering some important things in the near future for the EHDS. The secondary use, we also had for the first time a topic where we tried to combine the primary use and the secondary use. So basically for secondary use, it's primary use data, which is heavily used for secondary use purposes. So the question was a bit like how to get from primary to secondary. And also naturally about standardization secondary use. And we had a very successful workshop there where like a lot of the parties in Europe which are currently dealing with that topic were present, like for example the DataStud joint action or the community of practice and some other EU projects in the area of secondary use. And it developed a follow-up out of this workshop. So at the moment, this group is working on a paper which is called Standards Coordination for EHDS Secondary Use. This is currently in the making as a follow-up of that workshop. And our intent is to enable going that forward and offer a space to that topic again in our next Brussels Connectathon. We don't know exactly how it will look like, but most likely it will be again some sort of a workshop, which is open to everyone. If we get even some plug-a-thons or some testing going, we will see. That's not clear, but at least I guess it will be a workshop. So those two topics will be there. Next slide, please. For primary use, of course, I mean, everyone, or many know already that there are actually some specifications behind the 5 EHDS use cases, and that those specifications are based on FHIR. So formally developed they are by the XT-EHR joint action, but of course with great support from HL7 Europe and also IHE-Europe. So what we have at hand at the moment are draft versions of those implementation guides for patient summary, for medication prescription and dispense, laboratory report, imaging study report, meaning a radiology report, and a hospital discharge report. You see 4 of them are actually content profiles. So every one of them except the medication prescription dispense. So we are talking about FHIR documents where these implementation guides are all about. They're following the XT-EHR data model. And the XT-EHR project until its determined end next April, as Claudio mentioned, in end of April, there will be this closing workshop in Cyprus, but I believe it will be closed. However, until then, these specifications should be in some sort of a final state. So that means at the point of time where the Connectathon takes place, we will most likely have some very mature, if not final, specifications for those 5 use cases, and we will offer again, like in Vienna, the testing of those. If you come with a prototype, we will decide if you do it again in a form of a plug-a-thon, meaning that what Nicole already explained, sort of an educational / hands-on mix for serving both purposes. So first, for those who are not familiar with these implementation guides, to learn about them, because the experts and actually the people who made them, most of them will be on site. So the real persons. That means that's a tremendous opportunity for you to simply talk to them, and get some real deep insights behind those implementation guides. So we will make sure that all of this can happen. The exact format is yet to be determined, but this is definitely a topic. Next slide, please. The other topic, which is sort of embedded in that the EHDS specifications, but these are not content specifications, we are talking about the transport, is around image sharing. Image sharing is sort of a special because we have the combination of more standards here. We have metadata which needs to be shared, but we also have the imaging data which needs to be shared. There are some standards around behind them, and we have at the moment now on European level a discussion on which of them will be recommended to be used for the MyHealth.EU infrastructure, or also for the requirements for the software systems. So of course, this is also not final, but good candidates here are the usual suspects which are already in deployment, which is XDSI, XCAI, and the web-based image access, which is basically the RESTful retrieve of a DICOM study. And also, Anne-Gaëlle had it on her slide. There's a brand new profile for doing that retrieve like across communities, sort of an XCA for that RESTful retrieve of a DICOM. So it's XCVADO, this other profile she mentioned. So we will have a focus on these profiles. They are also on the Connectathon floor, probably to test them in a regular state, but we want to get some more information around it in the context of EHDS, because that's where they will most likely be used. And next slide, please. And lastly, we have another hot topic, which is also related to the EHDS, but it's general, it's more global, if you want, you know. It is the patient-mediated healthcare information exchange, and especially the one where you share an international patient summary. That is a good candidate for what we call a global use case, because we see regions around the globe doing exactly that. We have Latin America doing that, Middle East doing that, or starting to do that, or how there's a real implementation now with that around Saudi Arabia, the Hajj use case, as we call them, together with the WHO. So that's a very prominent, let's say, use case, and with some standards behind it. So we're talking about the IPS standard suite, if you want, so the FIRE implementation guide and the IHE profile around it, and also the SNOMED codes related to it, which are combined with other standards to share them in a patient-mediated way, meaning, for example, carry them in form of a QR code on your phone. Also there we have standards and profiles around this, and the latest step is to not only share that barcode, but also put that barcode in a wallet. That's also something which the European Health Data Space is dealing with, the My Health at My Hands project in particular. And all this we want to combine to an area of interest, if you want, where we will provide formats where you can either educate yourself or learn from others how they already have implemented, or test your own implementations. Okay, I think that's it. I think we have one more slide for you, Nicole.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, I have one more slide that is very practical, and it's related to the pre-registration for the IHE-Europe Connectathon 2026. This is done for you for benefit from a 25% early bird discount if you pay before the 30th of November. I put here in this slide the link for the pre-registration, so you can use it. Please keep in mind that the pre-registration will close on October 5th, 2025. And then the following roadmap is that the 6th of October, the official registration for the Connectathon floor opens. It will close the 14th of November. And as I said, please note that on the 7th of October, we will have our official ideas for Plagathon announcement. So, thank you for your attention. Hope to see you in Brussels. And now I think I will stop sharing, and it's time for questions.
Yeah, we already have a question. And Nicole has put in a question in the chat to what I just said about the EHDS specifications. So the question is really XDHR developing these specifications or only the requirements for the specifications? So the answer for, you know, if HS7-Europe and IHE-Europe are working on this. So the formal aspect here is actually that the XDHR is definitely responsible for the requirements for the specifications. meaning the data models, for example. So they come like one-to-one out of XDHR, and they were the basis for those current developments, which I had in the links on the slide, these implementation guides, which are currently maintained by IHE-Europe in the IHE-Europe space. However, formally, please, Alexander, correct me if I'm stating that wrong, but formally, those specifications are actually supposed to be deliverables of the XDHR project. So we will now spend the last months until end of the project to work on these specifications to make them deliverables of XDHR themselves. So the answer to the question is yes, actually, at the end, it shall be an XDHR deliverable. You know, how it proceeds from that onwards, that's not fully defined yet. So what we know for sure is that these will be deliverables of XDHR and that these deliverables will be passed forward to the European Commission because they are actually the customer of XDHR, so they get it. What happens after that, you know, is at least to me not fully clear. But for us here for the Connectathon, it's just important that that we know that these specifications are the candidates for which will be at some point of time the European specifications in a form or under an authority which is still to be decided.
Thank you, Jürgen, for the answer. Does anyone have other questions? Seems not. I'm looking at the chart, but it's only Nicole. Nicole, please, you have your hand raised. Hello, good to see you. I cannot hear you.
We can't hear you, Nicole.
Does this help?
Yes.
Yes. So my other question was about the standards. You mentioned smart health cards and smart health links. And to me, those are the standards that a patient can use to then further share the international patient summary. And I'd like to test the smart app launch and the international patient access standards that actually enable me as a patient to get my data from an EHR. So I'd very much like to see those added to the schedule.
I mean, yeah, thank you, Nicole. I mean, thanks to you, we had that topic already in Vienna, and this is certainly a very important topic because the IPA standard is also very prominent alongside 2IPS, so it's a very nice standard to get data out of data repositories. We can talk about it to deal with that topic like we did last time. I would say it's not directly related to this patient-mediated use case as I outlined it, because the IPA standard would be used basically in the step before when you assemble that IPS, you know. But we are more or less starting from that point. We assume that there is an IPS already there, and now, you know, what are we doing with it? How does it go to the phone? How does it get into the wallet? With which standards? You know, because the wallet is not a healthcare specific standard. You know, there are V3C standards which are used for everything. We have Google wallets, we have Apple wallets, we have wallets everywhere, and we need to find our place in that environment as healthcare with those with this use case. And it's at the moment very exciting to see that these different regions start experimenting it, like with real like purpose behind it. It's not like academic. They really want to get that going, which means there's a lot of energy behind these projects. And IHE is happy to be part of those projects and to contribute, but also to learn, you know, because nobody has like the solution here right now. We're currently finding that one. And I think that next year in March, we will have a lot of more knowledge on this, because some events have been happened in the meanwhile dealing with these topics, and it will be very exciting to to get like the last, if you want, the last knowledge, which we have for that topics to present that at the Connectathon.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I like what the My Health at My Hands project is doing to combine healthcare and identity wallets. But still, to SensorTrend, to my products, it's essential to show the whole chain. So also the essential enablers, how do you actually get the IPS before you can share it further? That's why I'm pushing it to be included.
No, I agree, and we will find a place for it for sure. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Nicole, and thank you, Jürgen. Claudio, do you want to say something more for the closing? I don't know if Claudio is present.
No, I'm here.
Yes.
So I hear about another important point, that is IPS. IPS was tested during the last Connectathons. And of course, we will offer again the opportunity to test IPS during the next Connectathon, and to have the opportunity to share experience of the most bigger project that are using IPS. For sure, there will be some delegation from Canada, and in Canada, InfoWay project, IPS has a very important role. For sure, there will be a delegation from the Latin American countries, and in the Latin American countries, there is a very big usage of the IPS, and for sure, we will hope to have some delegation from Saudi Arabia, in which they have a very interesting project about the Muslim pilgrims to La Mecca, in which IPS is fundamental to assure healthcare services during this period. So I hope that a lot of you will pre-register. It's important, the pre-registration, because it offers you the possibility to have an early bird discount for the Connectathon registration fee, 25%, around 25%. And also it's important for us to find the interest in some profiles and to find other actors and other vendors to allow you to test during the Connectathon. Because if you manifest your intention to test, for example, digital pathology, we're looking for some companies that has no show interest, trying to attract them to the Connectathon and to have the suitable numbers of participants to have the best testing during this week. So for us, pre-registration, it is very crucial and important. And then, of course, I hope that a lot of you will register to the Connectathon, and we will meet together in the Connectathon floor at the EHDS venue in the next March. Thank you to everybody that has attended to this webinar.
Thank you, and I would like to thank you, Claudio, and all the speakers for this webinar, and of course the attendees. Okay, I think we can close the webinar. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and see you in other meetings or webinars.